The memory should feel warm, but it cuts like glass. A quiet beach morning, laughter drifting on salt air, and one man sensing something fragile ticking beneath the calm. Happiness feels rehearsed, like it might vanish mid-breath. The memory should feel warm, but it cuts like glass. A quiet beach morning, laughter drifting on salt air, and one man sensing something fragile ticking beneath the calm. Happiness feels rehearsed, like it might vanish mid-breath. The child promises not to touch the water, words tossed casually, trust exchanged without ceremony. No one notices how the tide creeps closer, patient, quiet, certain it will be obeyed. A single wave breaks the agreement. Not loud, not dramatic, just enough. The moment fractures, and time feels like it skips a step, as if reality itself blinked at the wrong second. Shouting comes too late. The sound stretches, distorts, refuses to land where it should. The beach witnesses everything and remembers nothing, indifferent as the world steals something irreplaceable. Afterward, silence settles like dust. Days blur into mechanical survival, grief looping without progress. The man keeps replaying the moment, convinced the sequence is wrong, like a corrupted file repeating forever. His wife grieves differently, forward, controlled, careful. She packs away reminders with steady hands, believing motion itself can stitch time closed, believing the past should stay buried where it fell. While sorting old belongings, he freezes. A children's book lies open, its title unmistakably wrong. One letter feels hostile, misplaced, as if someone edited his memory without permission. He laughs it off at first, then checks again. The certainty doesn't fade. It sharpens. Something foundational has shifted, and no one else seems interested in admitting the ground moved. Late at night, a noise breaks the house's stillness. A relative raids the fridge, casual, ordinary, grounding the moment in normalcy. The man seizes the chance to test his doubt aloud. The answer surprises him. Someone else remembers it his way. Relief hits first, then fear, because shared mistakes shouldn't feel this validating, or this dangerous. He searches obsessively, scrolling through forums until dawn. Thousands report similar fractures, logos, names, details, tiny errors multiplying into a pattern too deliberate to ignore. The pattern has a name. Reading it sends a chill through him, not because it explains everything, but because it explains just enough to make denial impossible. The next morning, another crack appears. A family photo feels foreign. The location is wrong, the memory misplaced, like a sticker slapped onto the wrong page of his life. He asks his wife casually. Her answer is confident, immediate, and completely incompatible with his memory. She doesn't notice his world bending under the weight of contradiction. Dismissed, he retreats. Doubt metastasizes into resolve. If reality won't correct itself, he will trace the error manually, no matter how deep the fracture goes. Friends scoff. They call it false memory, stress, grief wearing logic's clothes. He listens politely, already certain they're defending comfort, not truth. Online, theories spiral darker. Experiments. Collisions. Timelines brushing too close. The idea that reality splintered years ago lodges in his mind and refuses eviction. Grief mutates into purpose. If worlds overlap, then loss might be negotiable. The thought is dangerous, intoxicating, and impossible to put back once imagined. He seeks answers beyond science, testing faith like another variable. The words he hears offer comfort, but not coherence. Belief feels too small for what he's witnessing. At home, tension thickens. His wife urges him forward, away from memory. She sees obsession. He sees breadcrumbs left deliberately for him to follow. He tests her with small details, icons from childhood, shared assumptions. Each correction lands like another nail, sealing his certainty that the world has been revised without consent. The most painful inconsistency is personal. A toy from his daughter contradicts everything he's told. Evidence of overlap sits quietly on a shelf, daring him to deny it. He connects the dots relentlessly. Parallel versions. Slightly altered outcomes. Somewhere, the loss never happened. The idea stops being theory and becomes mission. The marriage phrase. She accuses him of escaping reality. He accuses reality of abandoning them first. Neither notices the gap widening under every word. Late nights become routine. He reads until language blurs, until the universe feels less like nature and more like architecture hiding its blueprints. One name keeps resurfacing. A researcher dismissed as extreme, obsessed with the idea that existence behaves like executable code rather than divine accident. If the world is structured, then structure can be edited. The thought terrifies him. It also gives him his first real sense of control since the beach. He decides to meet the researcher. Not for proof, for permission. Someone else needs to say the impossible out loud so he can stop feeling alone inside it. The visit fails. Postponed. Delayed. The door stays closed, but the idea behind it grows louder, pulsing like a system warning he can't silence. That night, sleep won't come. He imagines versions of his life branching endlessly, one decision spawning infinite outcomes, most of them invisible but still painfully real. The grief changes shape. It's no longer only sadness, it's urgency. Time feels manipulable, like a file opened too long without saving. He returns to coding, mixing forgotten skills with forbidden theory. Each line feels like trespassing, but also like speaking the universe's native language. Outside, life appears normal. Inside, he's already crossed a threshold. There's no undo button for understanding how fragile the world truly is. His wife watches him drift further away, helpless. She mourns twice now, once for their child, once for the man who refuses to stay grounded. He promises himself this is temporary. Answers first. Healing later. The lie feels necessary, like scaffolding around a collapsing belief system. Another message appears from the Researchers' Institute. A window opens. Timing feels intentional, almost scripted, like the system nudging him forward. He doesn't tell anyone where he's going. Some paths can't survive witnesses. Some questions demand solitude as their price. As he steps into the unknown, one thought eclipses all others: if reality can change, then maybe loss was never final, just misplaced. The hunt for truth has begun, and the universe is already responding. Quietly. Patiently. Waiting to see how far he's willing to go. The institute feels colder than expected, sterile and indifferent. Hallways stretch too long, lights hum too loud, and every step convinces him he's walking inside a place built to outlast human doubt. A tired researcher finally meets him, speaking carefully, like every sentence risks professional ruin. The ideas sound impossible, yet disturbingly logical once spoken without apology. Reality, he's told, may be iterative. Not fixed, not sacred, updated constantly. Errors don't erase worlds, they overlap them, leaving residue in human memory. The explanation lands heavy. Memory isn't failing him. It's lagging behind a system that already moved on without notice or consent. He asks the question he's been circling for weeks. If reality runs on structure, can it be altered? The pause before the answer feels louder than any denial. The answer isn't no. It's conditional. Editing existence would require power beyond ordinary machines, something capable of evaluating countless outcomes at once. He's shown schematics he barely understands. Symbols blur, but the implication is clear: the universe might be writable, if you know the language and dare to type. When he leaves, the world looks thinner. Buildings feel temporary. People feel like variables moving through equations they'll never see. At home, he doesn't share details. He shares results. He dives back into code, driven by the belief that grief finally has a direction instead of a wall. He blends old skills with radical theory. Lines stack into structures. Structures form intent. Every keystroke feels like leaning closer to a loaded trigger. Days pass unnoticed. His wife watches the distance harden. She senses a future where answers exist but connection doesn't. He tells himself this will fix everything. That rewriting the error will restore balance. The lie becomes easier every time it's repeated. One night, the house feels wrong. Too full. Too alive. He hears movement that doesn't align with memory or logic. Then he sees her. Small. Breathing. Real. The impossible stands in front of him, smiling like nothing was ever broken. His mind rejects it first. Hallucination. Stress. Wish fulfillment. Every defense collapses as she speaks, warm and ordinary and devastatingly alive. Joy floods in without permission. He laughs, cries, forgets caution. Against every warning, he accepts the gift without reading the receipt. Hours pass like stolen time. He plays, listens, memorizes every detail, terrified the moment will evaporate if he blinks too long. But something feels off. The world hums wrong. His wife's smile looks rehearsed, strained, as if the universe paid for one correction by breaking another. She grows restless, anxious, brittle. The emotional weight shifts, and he realizes reality didn't heal, it redistributed the damage. Fear replaces celebration. He wonders what else changed. What unseen costs are still compiling in the background, waiting to crash the system. He rushes back to the institute, desperate for confirmation. Instead, he finds absence. Offices emptied. Records cold. Something doesn't align with recent history. A clerk delivers the blow casually. The researcher he spoke with died months ago. The conversation never should have happened. Reality stutters. If the guide never existed, then the change came from him alone. The implication crushes whatever certainty he had left. He returns home knowing one thing: he broke something fundamental. Love didn't bend the rules. It shattered them. The world begins misbehaving openly. Objects feel delayed. Sounds arrive half a second late. Reality stops pretending it's stable. He understands the truth at last. Fixing one thread pulled the whole fabric loose. The only solution left is unthinkable. He begins writing again, hands shaking. Not an edit this time, a reset. A command so absolute it might erase everything he loves. Doubt hits hard. What if nothing comes back? What if existence ends because he couldn't let go? He looks at his family one last time. Not to memorize them, but to accept the possibility of losing them forever. The facility housing the machine feels abandoned. Power hums beneath the floor, waiting, indifferent to human stakes. He initiates the sequence. No countdown. No drama. Just a quiet acknowledgement that some mistakes demand erasure, not correction. The world responds immediately. Lights flicker. Distance loses meaning. Space feels compressed, like a breath held too long. Outside, absence spreads. Cars vanish. Streets empty. Movement becomes optional, then impossible. People glitch mid-step, expressions freezing between moments. The illusion of continuity collapses in plain sight. Buildings darken like powered-down screens. The sky flickers, struggling to render what comes next. He runs, instinct overpowering reason. If the end is coming, he wants it witnessed by the people who gave it meaning. At home, his wife flickers like a corrupted image. Fear replaces anger. Understanding arrives too late for words. The sky splits. Celestial bodies drift off script, colliding without sound, without warning, without mercy. Everything dissolves. Matter unthreads. Time lets go. The universe goes dark, not with violence, but with compliance. Then, silence. Not emptiness. Reset. Somewhere beyond perception, something prepares to start again. Light returns cautiously, like the universe testing its own reflection. Shapes assemble without sound, matter clicking into place as if following instructions older than memory. Time restarts without ceremony. Planets stabilize. Oceans breathe again. The system rebuilds itself patiently, pretending nothing catastrophic ever happened. He gasps awake on warm sand. Salt air fills his lungs. The reset doesn't announce itself, it disguises itself as memory returning to its place. Laughter cuts through his panic. Familiar voices. Familiar rhythm. The world looks whole, seamless, almost mocking in its perfection. For a moment, he doubts himself. Maybe the fracture never existed. Maybe grief invented everything. The lie nearly works. Then he notices the small differences. Not errors, corrections. Details aligned too cleanly, too intentionally, like patched code hiding former instability. His wife turns to him, relaxed, unburdened. No strain in her eyes. No residue of alternate damage. The balance feels enforced. Their daughter darts ahead, energy unfiltered. The sight hits harder than the collapse ever did. This time, he doesn't look away. Fear tightens his chest. Memory screams a warning. The moment approaches again, familiar and dangerous, begging to repeat itself. He calls out sharply. His voice cuts through the breeze with authority earned through loss. This time, the warning lands. She stops. Turns back. Obedience replaces curiosity. The smallest divergence rewrites the entire outcome. A toy lies abandoned in the sand. He notices it instantly, heart racing, eyes locking onto a detail that once proved everything was wrong. Something is different. Subtly. Perfectly. The detail aligns now with consensus, not contradiction. The universe remembers its own rules again. Relief arrives late, cautious, unsure if it's allowed. He doesn't celebrate. He watches. Trusting reality now feels like tempting fate. Time flows forward without resistance. No glitches. No echoes. The system holds steady, daring him to challenge it again. He understands now. The reset didn't erase choice, it amplified it. One decision can anchor an entire world, if made early enough. His wife squeezes his hand. No suspicion. No fracture. Just shared presence in a timeline that finally agrees with itself. He feels the absence of something else now. Knowledge. The deeper mechanics fade, sealed away like administrative access revoked. Fragments remain. Enough to remember the cost. Not enough to repeat the mistake. The beach day continues unremarkably. That's the miracle. Normalcy returns without applause or proof. He stays close, eyes tracking every movement. Love becomes vigilance, not fear-driven but deliberate. For the first time, the future feels singular. Not branching. Not fragile. Just ahead. He wonders briefly how many versions failed to get here. The thought passes. Some knowledge isn't meant to linger. The system hums invisibly, stable and silent. No more warnings. No more edits. His daughter laughs again, unafraid. The sound anchors him deeper than any theory ever could. He kneels to her level, offering guidance instead of control. This world survives on attention, not interference. She nods, understanding without understanding. That's enough. It always was. The moment passes safely. History rewrites itself by not repeating itself. He finally breathes fully. Not because the world is perfect, but because it's consistent. Memory settles where it belongs. No contradictions. No ghosts demanding proof. The sun climbs higher. Time resumes its unremarkable march. The universe keeps its promise by staying silent. He knows now what reality costs. Attention. Responsibility. Letting go before obsession rewrites love into damage. This version holds. He feels it. Not certainty, stability. He watches the water one last time, not as a threat, but as a boundary that deserves respect. Behind him, laughter continues. Ahead of him, nothing glitches. That's the victory. No credits roll. No confirmation arrives. Reality doesn't congratulate survivors. It simply continues, waiting to see if anyone notices when it almost breaks again. He takes his place inside it, choosing presence over control, love over proof. And for now, the universe agrees to let that be enough. The afternoon drifts on, light and unforced. Nothing demands explanation. Nothing asks to be solved. The absence of mystery feels strange, but also merciful. He notices how easily joy returns when fear loosens its grip. Not explosive happiness, just something steady enough to trust. His daughter shows him a shell she found, insignificant to the universe, priceless to him. This time, the moment stays where it belongs. He listens closely to her voice, committing it to memory without desperation. Love no longer feels like a countdown timer. His wife joins them, effortless, present. No tension hums beneath her words. Whatever was broken before never makes it here. He realizes the reset didn't reward him. It warned him. Reality is fragile, but not forgiving. The knowledge no longer itches. Curiosity gives way to responsibility. Some doors are meant to close quietly behind you. Far away, systems run flawlessly, unnoticed. The greatest success is invisibility. He senses no watchers. No corrections. No pressure. The universe has moved on. The past still exists, but only as memory, not leverage. That difference changes everything. As they pack up, nothing feels rushed. Time behaves again, obedient and linear. He takes one last look at the water, not in fear, but in acknowledgement. Boundaries matter. They walk away together. No echoes follow. No cracks trail behind them. The road ahead holds ordinary problems now. He welcomes them. Ordinary means stable. Somewhere deep beneath reality's surface, the system sleeps. No need to wake it again. He accepts that love doesn't require omniscience. It requires attention, timing, and humility. The child laughs ahead of them, carefree. The sound no longer terrifies him. He lets the moment exist without trying to anchor it forever. Presence replaces preservation. Nothing glitches. Nothing flickers. The silence confirms everything worked. If another fracture ever forms, it won't start with memory. It will start with neglect. He won't make that mistake again. The universe doesn't ask for thanks. It asks for restraint. He offers none. He simply lives. The day closes gently, like a file saved without errors. There will be no proof of what almost happened. That's how it's meant to be. Stories like this survive only as intuition, a feeling that reality deserves respect. He carries that feeling home, lighter than knowledge, heavier than belief. The world accepts him back without resistance. No one notices anything unusual. That's the point. Reality holds steady, not because it must, but because someone finally chose not to test it again. And somewhere deep beneath everything, the universe stays quiet, watching, waiting, satisfied.